Hello, everyone. A very good evening. I welcome you all to this talk show. Let's Talk Poetry, presented by the Literary Warriors Group. Friends, well, it's Tuesday today, a long way to go to Sunday. I can't even see the weekend from here. I think I need better vision, and for that, I have with me an ophthalmologist with me today. So, welcome, Maitreyee Joshi, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am, to the show.
Thank you so much, Sara. I'm so glad that I'm here with you today.
Yes, ma'am. We are glad too. So, how are you, ma'am?
I'm very good. It's like the season is like very rainy right now in Pune, but of course we are also enjoying it. So it's like very
Correct,
nice.
correct. Here it's quite sunny and it's very tiring too.
Oh,
Okay. So, friends, Maitri ma'am is an ophthalmologist and a psychologist by profession and an enthusiastic writer. She has two books of poetry published by the names of Shells and Melodies and Insight. Pinhole, a bit clearer, is her first novel. Her short stories and poems have been published in a number of Indian and international journals and anthologies. She practices ophthalmology and psychology in her eye clinic and eye care center and Insight, and stays in Pune for the past 20 years. She suffered serious COVID infection and hospitalization for 52 days during the pandemic and has written the memoir of her illness recently by the name On the Edge. She received the award for the Best Book Fiction in LWG Litfest 2023 for her novel Pinhole, A Bit Clearer, and Srimati Shashi Saxena Award for the Best Fiction for her book Cut and Dry in LWG Litfest 2024. It's great to have Maitreyee ma'am here. A huge round of virtual applause for Maitreyee Joshi ma'am.
thank you so much, Sara, for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. I am touched. Thank you so much.
ओके, चलो आपसे बातों का सिलसिला शुरू करते हैं. But
Sure.
first, we just want you and of course our audience too, who are seeing us, want you to recite a short poem for us. So please, ma'am, I request you to recite a short poem.
Sure, sure, sure. So, Sarah, I'll just recite this poem from my first book, uh, like Shells and Melodies, from where this journey started. The name of the poem is That Time is Bliss. Okay. As I'm racing ahead, the trees, the shrubs, the roads, and the statues I leave behind in seconds, and their details get lost in the nystagmus of my eyes. So let me explain what is nystagmus. This is kind of actually what happens is that sometimes doctors tend to use scientific words inadvertently, probably. But nystagmus is
Correct.
when our eyes bob because of the speed with which we are passing through a bus or a train. So our eyes bob. Okay, so
Correct.
I leave behind in seconds, and their details get lost in the nystagmus of my eyes, so I can't see them properly. It's like blur. The time they are speeding ahead, and I, lost in myself, can't get past me, the statue I become. The time on a moonlit night, I and the moon together, she follows me everywhere, and I in turn follow her, seeing eye to eye. She doesn't leave until the darkness recedes. That time is bliss. So, this is a
Lovely,
poem about the company of the moon.
lovely, lovely. It was a very wonderful, beautiful poem. We really enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you
So,
so
ma'am,
much.
you being a doctor and a psychologist, how did you build an interest in writing poetry? How did this all come up?
I was always interested in like in reading and in writing. I have been kind of scribbling since I was a kid. the, I never thought that whatever I scribbled could be shared with someone for a very long time. That was just scribbles. And my father was a voracious reader. He had a huge library in the house. He would always bring lots of books for us. For every special occasions, there used to be books of different kinds. And I have seen my mother and my father both reading all the time. Like whenever they had time, they would be reading. So I was always fond of reading, and my scribbles just went on getting accumulated, but I never kind of shared them with anyone until my daughter was almost 2 years old. I wrote just one poem when I was 20, but then it just remained like a legible poem, which you could call a poem because it had rhymes and it made some sense. Okay. But
Right.
later on, when my daughter was born and she was 2 years old, somehow like the pace of the life got a little bit slower, and at
Right.
that time it like automatically came spontaneously. My pen started writing. So
Within.
yeah, from within it came, and I was always reading, so reading never stopped, but writing started more frequently and more in a way to share with someone. Like I felt that confidence that I could share with someone. It started when my daughter was almost 2.5 years old. So that is how my journey began. And rest is all history, because then all those poetry sites also came. Internet did that thing to us, that we could share our writings with people like us, and then there was no looking back after that.
Lovely, lovely. So that's really interesting to know that. And as a psychologist, how do you see poetry? Like, how does human psychology affect poetry writing?
There is a strong connection between writing poetry or writing of any kind and psychology. Basically, I started my journey with psychology in 2014. It was pretty late, but then when I started, my literary journey started before my psychology journey. Okay, so at that time I was just writing, but when my psychology that stint with psychology started in 2014, I
Mm.
realized that whenever we want a person, or any client, any patient, or anyone to get in touch with their emotions, create awareness of their emotions, their thoughts, then we give them journaling, you know. And if a person is inclined to poetry, that person loves poetry, then poetry can be a very good medium or a tool to make them get aware of their emotions, you know.
Right,
There is
right.
also a Freudian thought. Freud was a great psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Psychology.
He's kind of a father of modern
Correct,
psychology. So
correct.
he has those defense mechanisms which most people know. So sublimation is one defense mechanism where a person expresses,
Okay,
through expression, different kinds of artistic expression, poetic expression. Then
okay.
the person can express in a healthier manner. It is a healthiest defense mechanism as far as Freud is concerned. That is one thing. And so writing poetry and psychology are very, very much interconnected, because when you know
Internet.
your emotions and your thoughts, then you can manage them. You cannot manage anything unless you are aware of them, you
I
know.
think so. What you said should be quoted. When we know our emotions and thoughts, we can express it more clearly through writing poetry. That's really wonderful. And I've also been a psychology student. I've done my graduation in psychology, and after
Wow.
that, I did not go into the psychology field. But I like the subject. I have an interest in that area. It's a lovely subject.
Nice,
Okay,
very
so
nice.
yeah, really nice. So tell us something about the poetry books you've written.
As I told you, it just began spontaneously.
Mm,
My poetry writing. Then I started
mm,
sharing it with my friends. Then I started
mm,
sharing it there used to be a site, I don't know whether it exists anymore, poemhunter.com. I used to write and then share with other poets. But then somehow that site crashed. And then
mm,
the whole 100 people shifted to Facebook. So automatically from Poem Hunter to we came to Facebook. Then even friends and family and loved ones also started reading my poems. They also started appreciating. And then
mm.
one of my mentors told me that your poetry is like dance drama. So you must actually collect all your poems and publish it as a book. At least your daughter or your near and dear ones, they will have a collection of your work. Okay, so
Correct.
please do it in a concise manner. And then I decided in 2012, I decided to publish my first book, Shells and Melodies, and it is available online to buy. And the second book came pretty late. It was 2018 or 17 when my second book
Okay.
came, Inside Trails of Thoughts. And
Okay.
poetry has always been my medium to, as I said, to express.
To express.
So these two books, Shells and Melodies and
Lovely,
Insight, came
lovely,
into being.
lovely, 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 ma'am. And I request all the viewers to please go and buy these books and read them. They're really good books. I've read them and they're really very nice.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
according to you, ma'am, what are the challenges a writer faces today? What are the challenges and difficulties, struggles that come across?
So as things have like they have more mediums to express, as I said, internet opened a like wide gate for everyone to express
Mhm.
whatever they can. But at the same time,
Mhm.
competition grew also exponentially. And so you
Mhm.
now, when there were only few people who had that opportunity or the exposure or the possibility, now everyone has it. Okay. And so then there is a lot of competition also in this field. And so instead of trying to publish all at once immediately, I think
Mhm.
there has to be a drive to learn. So I think these young poets of today, they have to develop, be aware of the competition, to be aware of the quality, and be ready to face the competition. I think that is the main challenge. Overexposure and the competition that is created by that overexposure.
True, true, true. That's very true and very nicely explained also. That the challenges the writers are facing today. Very beautifully explained, ma'am. And we want to know, as a beginner in your writing journey to being an established poet, you are a very good established poet now. But from the beginning, has your perspective towards writing changed? कभी आपको ऐसा लगा है कि हाँ अब मेरी पोइट्रीज पहले से ज्यादा बेटर हो गई है, पहले से ज्यादा अच्छी हो गई है? Have you ever felt such a thing?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. See, basically, there is one thing I want to like be very clear about is that when I began writing, it was not about becoming a poet, becoming somebody. It was just a beginning of expression, a medium of
Okay.
expression. So it began as a medium of expression when it many times when you are just expressing and not trying to converse with someone, then things could be very muddled. Sometimes there are very fuzzy emotions that you are doing, but that is a part of being a beginner. And slowly and
Correct.
steadily, whatever you're writing becomes more and more concise, more and it gains more and more quality, and then it also becomes conversational. The success of the poet depends upon expressing what they actually are feeling to being a being able to reach the person that they are doing it. Means like it's both ways. You have to maintain that balance. You don't have to muddle your own whatever you want to express. At the same time, you have to maintain that conversation. So, and I don't think that anyone is doing it like I'm doing it perfectly even now. I'm still learning. I'm still taking that journey every time as a poet, from my expression to creating that conversation with my reader. Okay, so bit by bit, I'm getting better every day, is what I feel about. And yes, of course, I've gotten better, I've gotten more concrete, and poetry still remains the like a very private way of expressing.
Lovely, lovely. And the way you said that I'm becoming better, I'm still learning. Like the quote which is usually used, learning is always in the process. Like one is
Yeah.
always learning new things. So that's what I really liked about your answer. That you said that I'm learning and I am actually in that process of learning. You are enjoying your poetry. So that's really
Definitely.
wonderful. And since you've published your own poetry books, so how is time management and patience essential in this?
It is extremely important. Like people, this thing has to be definitely clarified, that people think that I'll just say it in Hindi, मुझे जब ऐसे लगेगा तो मैं लिखूंगी, like kind of that kind of a
Right.
thing.
Right.
But writing was never like that. If you read all the writers who have written about writing, especially the ones in before the 19th century and the 20th century, they have always said that it is a compulsory act. Like many of them have put themselves in a lonely room and closed the door, and not supposed to be opened after until 5 hours until they have completed. So they were actually doing it every day. So you
Correct.
have to take out that particular time every single day. It is like any other job where inspiration and all that need not be waited for. What you share with other people, that is another story. But writing your thing, you have to do every single day. And for
Correct.
that, you have to plan your day. Everything you have to manage around it. Like when you are a mother, you are someone who is in a full-time profession, you have to
True.
manage your profession, you have to manage your writing, and at the same time you have to manage your uh, like even your life totally. So time
True.
management is planning the day in advance is extremely important, and writers cannot be moody and whimsical. That is a very disciplined profession as far as I can tell you.
Very concerned. Lovely, lovely. And I mean, what is the process like? Like many of the budding writers, they don't have that much patience. They are like that, finishing one work, leaving it unfinished, and then going back to the other work, right? And then they don't have that much patience. तो ये जो publication का process है, it takes a lot of time. So
It does.
how is the publication process? Like how lengthy is it, and how does it go?
It is
I really
actually,
want you to share this to the budding writers, please.
yeah, it's definitely a lengthy process. First of all, it, as I said, it begins with yourself. You start writing, but you alone cannot be a good judge of what you are doing. First draft, whatever your first draft of anything is actually useless, meaningless. You should never and never publish your first draft of anything. You have to actually first draft, second draft you share with, like, to begin with, you even don't have those people, you know. And that's
Right.
why platforms like Literary Warriors Group, you where you have immense amount of support
Mm,
with respect to
true,
be sharing
true.
your work with everyone around you. You can have a very private group of friends, 4 or 5 people, who you can regularly share your work with, private group, and take their
True.
comments very seriously instead of thinking about that I want to be praised. Please don't wait for any praise. Wait for after that initial thing about praise. Wait for their comments. Wait for their review of your writing and correct it accordingly and go ahead in that way. It does take patience,
True.
but you are persistent enough. You'll definitely reach a place, and once you start sharing your things, you realize where you stand, you know.
Lovely.
People
True,
are,
true,
if
true.
you think that people or the listeners are not intelligent, they're extremely intelligent. They can pick up on very good writers, poets,
True,
and that is how
true,
stars are
true.
made. If you feel that it is
That's
like
all.
random, no, it is not
So
random. Once you reach that place, you get that, you understand it from people's reviews, from how people are taking your writing, and then you are ready to go. But for that, you just have to work really hard.
it's like practicing. The more the practice, the more you
Yeah,
be better,
and
right?
getting and taking reviews seriously, taking honest reviews very seriously.
Honest reviews. True, true,
Yes,
true.
honest reviews from people who are reading you very seriously.
So, like constructive criticism also is very much necessary.
Constructive criticism is only necessary.
Is only necessary. Yes. Lovely, beautifully explained. And these are these tips what which you just told us. Uh, Along with that, any other tips that the budding writers today should follow?
This is the main thing, Sara, that you have to be patient. Definitely, you have to be patient. You have to,
Correct.
of course, see, Literary Warriors group and any writers group provides
Mm,
with initial exposure. But how you
mm,
progress depends upon your patience and your. Moreover, if you want to get published, first of all, you have to
mm.
read the magazine which you want to get published in. You can't just send random things to random magazines. No, you have to
Correct.
read that magazine, get the pulse of that magazine, the language of that magazine, the messages that magazine wants to, or the journal, literature journal that you want to share your things with. Then there is a possibility of, and then you have to share what. Basically, the voice is very important. Your voice, whatever you're writing, and what the journal or the magazine wants to publish has to match. Otherwise, then you
Right.
will have to go on getting rejections. Moreover, rejections do not mean the end of the world. Many big writers
End
have been
of the-
rejected initially, but then when you persist, you go on working on your craft, then you will get better. There are many books written, Bird by Bird is one of the books on writing, which Annie Lamott has written. So you have to read these books and get better each day uh,
Get
with
it.
your writing. Writing is just not random that I write and people accept. You also have to improvise on your craft.
Right. Lovely. And the way you said that reading is equally important. Once you read, you acquire
Reading,
that knowledge, and then that is more convenient for you to put it into the draft. So that
yes,
was very beautifully explained. And nowadays, writers, budding writers, they don't read much. Reading is somewhere lost, and they don't read much. But as you explained, reading is equally important. It actually improves, right?
it does. It does improve.
It does. It does. So your all the answers were questions were answered were very beautifully. We really enjoyed it. And before we end the session, I would like to have a rapid fire session with you.
Okay.
It's like I will ask you questions and you will have to answer them in one word. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So are you ready, Dr. Saab?
Yes.
Okay. So I started writing poetry at the age of
At the age of 20,
lovely. One writer I see as my inspiration.
Khalid Hosseini,
Beautiful. My first published poem, not your poetry book, your first published poem.
Silence was the name of the poem.
Okay, lovely, lovely. That's like I've been asking this question to many people, and everybody stumbles in this question
Okay.
because the writers have gone so ahead. They don't remember the first published poem, but
Right.
it's lovely that you still remember. It's just too good,
Thank,
remarkable. So,
thank you. Thank you.
Maitreyee Joshi as a poet or a psychologist? This is
As
a
a
tricky question.
psychologist, actually, it runs in phases, but right now, psychologist.
Okay, that's lovely. I love poetry because it gives me
Expression,
beautiful, wonderful. Free verse or poetry in rhymes.
as it comes, as it comes.
Okay. My favorite poetic line, not necessarily from my own poem.
My favorite poetry line from the place, actually, it's very difficult to quote exactly as it is now, but it is from the Robert Frost poem, Mending Walls. Uh, Better walls create better neighbors.
Lovely. And I suppose Robert Frost and the people, the authors, the writers of that age, they have just tremendous, beautiful work given to the generations, passed over generations to generations, and really lovely work. And this one too is really wonderful. Have I ever written about my patients or clients in my poetry?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay,
have.
can you give me an example, a small example?
So basically, see, writers do not come from like that. They don't get inspiration from heaven. They are drawing inspiration from writings only. So I wrote a poem about a cannonball tree, and it was from a patient who had body dysmorphic, like negative body image. And from there
Okay.
it came up with respect to the social media. But then I have not exactly written about that name and that patient, and like I have written it on the basis of the cannonball tree, you know.
Hmm.
But then inspiration came from there. So it, yes, absolutely. I've taken inspiration from my patients.
Lovely, lovely. In fact, the patients teach a lot to the doctor too. Do you agree
Actually,
with me that?
I will tell you one thing, that patients heal me. I don't know how much am I
Right.
healing them. They heal me every day.
Oh, lovely, lovely. That good words from a doctor. Okay. One word for today's conversation.
Enlightening, interesting.
Okay. One writing habit every writer should have.
They have to set a word limit for themselves, and a particular place and a particular time set for writing every day.
Okay. So all your answers were really awesome, and I hope
And
you enjoyed this conversation. But before we end this talk, if you could speak a few words for the upcoming Litfest, which our group
yes,
Literary Warriors group is organizing.
it's like definitely this is the most important thing that I wanted to say, and good that you reminded me. uh, Literary Warriors group Litfest is going to be there in Lucknow this time, and it is going to be on 3rd and 4th of October. There are going to be lots of competitions, online poetry competitions, story contests, Hindi, English. There is also going to be an Urdu mushaira kind of
Correct.
in person, a real on stage mushaira at Lucknow. Then there are going to different book launches, English, Hindi, and different kinds of translations prizes. So a whole lot of prizes, and whole painting competition is going to be there. Then there are, every year we have dramas and we have dances, and a prize
True.
distribution, and it's going to be a gala time. So please book your tickets right now and be there, because we all love you. Like all the literature enthusiasts,
Yes, yes. And
literary warriors,
we are
totally
awaiting
love
your presence. We are awaiting
you.
your presence. Yes.
Because when all of you are there, then we can show like what all we can do, you know?
What all we can do. And you all will also enjoy with us a lot.
Definitely.
Okay. So thank you so much, ma'am. It was really great, and we are very glad to have you here. Thanks for accepting the invitation. Thanks
Thank
to the
you.
lovely audience. And see you all soon. With this, we end. See you all soon. Eat healthy, stay fit. Bye bye. Thank you,
Bye
everyone.
bye. Thank you so much, Sara. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.